Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Welcome to this special edition of the show titled Chiropractic Spotlights, Meet America's Leading Chiropractors. I'm Mark Imperial. My next guest is Dr. Debra Pavlovic from Lakeland, Florida. Dr. Debra, welcome to the program.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Could you introduce yourself, give us the name of your practice, and tell us about the type of clients that you serve?
Yes, my office is Atlas Wellness of Lakeland. I've been in Lakeland, Florida since 2008. This is a second career for me. I specifically chose this type of chiropractic because it's so rare and it's so hard to find that I felt I needed to be part of the solution rather than just being a benefactor of it. I had migraine headaches from the time I was 5 years old and in a tornado, and they went away when I was 30 and had my first Atlas correction.
Fantastic. Yeah, let's dig right into that. So that's your specialty is migraine headaches. Are those the type of clients that you commonly see?
That's one of them. I have, oh my goodness, can't even tell you. Anything neurological. Right now I'm working on my diplomat in the cranial cervical junction. So I'm especially studying concussion, traumatic brain injuries, vertebral basal artery insults, the VBAIs, the guys that have post-traumatic stress disorder. It's amazing the things that I get to see go away in here. Today I just had a quadriplegic who's completely walking and moving. He's had an Atlas adjustment, and he's worked very hard for 2 years. Now he goes around talking to quadriplegics, giving them hope, telling them medical doctors don't know it all.
Oh, wow. Yeah, tell us about like some of the most common conditions that your patients face when they come to see you and how it relates to how you can help them through chiropractic.
One of the biggest things would be, I would say, the limbic system, where the information going to the brain, your brain receives nerve signals from joints and muscles that tell the brain where the joints are positioned. And when that information gets all garbled up, it starts to change whether the brain's getting correct information, because the bottom line is your head needs to be centered over gravity to maintain balance. And when those tones change, then it can cause stressful stimuli with the hypothalamus and the limbic system that causes a fight or flight response. So what that does is it increases stress hormones, it increases muscle tone, it increases the heart rate and blood pressure. It increases reflex response. It increases adrenaline, rapid fatigue. And then on the decrease side, it causes a decreased immune system response, so those people will get sick a lot. It decreases digestion, so they have all kinds of issues with their gut. It decreases excretion, which is part of the bowel movements and things like that. It decreases the healing responses, and the one that mainly affects a lot of my patients is decreased cognitive function, where they feel like they're foggy-headed, they're just not clear, they can't think straight, they just really struggle with it. And one of the things that we're learning is how that gut-brain connection is really serious, and that the cranial nerve 10, the vagus nerve, that one is the one for swallowing, for breathing, for the heart rate, for the gut, all the way down to the top part of the colon. That one, when you get like bad food and toxic waste in your gut, it can literally travel on cranial nerve 10 back up to the brainstem. And that's causing a lot of health issues for people with their brain.
Wow, so you've described a lot of different conditions, and I know that it's a mystery to a lot of people about how chiropractic works and how it works. Can you describe for our listeners who may not be as familiar with chiropractic, like what type of ailments, what would they be feeling, and for somebody for you to recommend they see a chiropractor, what type of ailments would they feel that you could help?
Chiropractic really wasn't started or designed to cure or treat any illnesses. The cool thing about what I do, my main job is to put the bones back where they belong, to allow the body to do its job the way it was designed to do it. So when a body is malfunctioning, it's not because they're lacking a drug. It's not because they're lacking a surgery. It's because the information isn't traveling back and forth the way it's supposed to because it's being blocked. So chiropractic, originally, it's just to locate these misalignments and correct them so that the spine is perfectly aligned. But the cool thing about the technique that I use, most people don't realize there's 200 different techniques in chiropractic. So you don't really know what type of chiropractor you're going to unless you call them and say, what technique are you using? And the upper cervical specific technique is what I'm using. It's called EPIC, Evolutionary Percussive Instrument Corrections. It's such a low force. I have adjusted newborns with torticollis, and I've adjusted 96-year-old ladies with osteoporosis. The force is so low, you don't even feel the adjustment.
You mentioned that you were the only DC in your area in Lakeland, Florida, that practices that technique. Is that right? Is that the biggest benefit of it? Is the delicateness of it?
Exactly. I mean, you look at the very young or the very old or the people that are afraid of having their neck cracked. They don't like that noise. They don't like that feeling. I tell people if they want to get their neck cracked for that adrenaline rush, they can get that by walking around Lake Hollingsworth. Literally, I'm the only one in Polk County that does this technique. There are other doctors that are in Hillsborough County, Osceola County. Some of my friends are in those two counties. A lot more people want to be closer to the beach or closer to a bigger city or closer to a city where people make a lot of money. I chose Lakeland. My husband passed away from MS in 2006, and I picked Lakeland. I like the demographics. I love the people. I love the small town. I love the fact that if I want to go to a big city in 30 minutes to 45 minutes, I'm in Orlando or Tampa. So I literally have patients that are flying in from Puerto Rico, flying in from Italy, flying in from Indiana, driving up from Bonita Springs, driving in from Jacksonville. I mean, when people find a doctor that works and that they really like, they don't mind driving, they don't mind traveling.
That's terrific. Dr. Debra, what inspired you to become a DC? How did you get started?
My husband was diagnosed with MS when we had been married almost 3 years. And I was chaperoning a youth group to Nashville, Tennessee, and there was a student from Life University Chiropractic, and he was telling me that there was these guys in Jacksonville doing this really strange low-force correction at the brainstem, and that they were doing a lot of studies with MS patients. So my husband, being recently diagnosed, I thought, well, let's take him there. And the more he talked about it, the more I thought, wow, maybe it would help my migraine headaches. My migraine headaches, TMJ, and PMS went away. We took 30 MS patients, 28 went into remission. My husband and one other did not. The missing ingredient for my husband was diet, and I have learned that in the last 10 years since he's passed away. So the things that I have learned since he passed away, I could have helped him to live. That's kind of sad, but I had to take, lemons and turn it into lemonade. I had to make a bad situation turn into something good and worthwhile.
Wow, that's fascinating. Dr. Debra, is there anything important that you'd like to share with our listeners in regards to chiropractic that I didn't think to ask you?
Well, one of the things is everyone thinks, well, I don't have back pain or neck pain or headaches, so I don't need to go to a chiropractor. Well, why not you just go and check and see if you're in alignment? I do not charge to check a child. I do not charge for the first visit because I want to make sure people understand whether or not I can help them before I charge them. And most doctors out there, it's all about the money. When it's all about the money, then we've lost the idea of what real true health care is and what helping people is. And I really believe that in chiropractic, we really care more about the people when we're doing things that get people well faster for less visits. When you have to go every day for weeks and weeks to a chiropractor, then they're doing the same thing as take a pill every day. So I think people need to realize that there are doctors out there that just want everyone to be well.
Right on. So, Dr. Debra, for our listeners out there who may be able to use your help and would like to connect with you, how can they find you and how can they reach you?
I tell people to text me at 863-393-4169 or email atlasoflakeland@gmail.com.
Fantastic. Dr. Debra, I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing with our listeners today. I wish you continued success for you and for all of your clients and patients.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you. It's been nice, Mark.
I'm Mark Imperial, and this is the program spotlighting noteworthy professionals, experts, and business owners from around the world and in your town. If you know a great business or professional that we should feature on the program, I'd like to hear from you. You could nominate them by emailing me at radio@markimperial.com. Once again, that's radio@markimperial.com. In this next segment, our home stretch, I've got a special treat for you. If you're a business owner or professional, or if you aspire to be one, for over 7 years, I've been interviewing leading experts and business celebrities and sharing their secrets to success with you. From my first show, Entrepreneur's Edge, to Game Changers Radio, to Mad Rocket Business, all the way to Remarkable Radio and this program today, in this home stretch, I'm bringing you a flashback to one of my most popular episodes, covering how to attract clients magnetically using only the power of words and without costly branding. So enjoy this very special edition home stretch, and here we go.
Now, get the edge. Here are Mark and Tom.
Hey, welcome to the show. It's Mark Imperial, another power thinking hour here at Entrepreneur's Edge.
Mark, this is Tom Rebar, and it is time for all the capitalists and all of the entrepreneurs and the self-employed people and the professionals in private practice and all the sales and marketing pros to come out of the woodwork and put their feet up and join together and learn for an hour.
That's right. So welcome back, everybody. And we've got a terrific show. We're recapping a fantastic week that we had here at Entrepreneur's Edge. We just had our Entrepreneur's Edge live event last Wednesday. And boy, it was a hoot. The party was jumping. I'm telling you, they almost had to kick us out of that hotel.
They did, and there's nothing like talking about advertising and copywriting that gets people out of their chairs, because once you start talking about that, people realize that even if you thought you knew everything there was to know about it, you realize there's more to learn and more to still learn.
Yeah, the place was absolutely on fire. We had Conrad Hall and Ken Schreiber join us and speaking on copywriting and writing the words that sell your business. What better way to get to the bullet points of that than to recap what we talked about at Wednesday's event?
Go for it.
And you know what? In fact, if you missed it, you really missed a hugely valuable opportunity to boost your response. Because I'm talking about, we talked about headlines and postcard and copy that got 4 to 5 times the response of another control. So that's a 400 to 500% increase by just changing the words on the paper. How many folks don't think about that?
A whole bunch.
So we started out, one of our guest speakers, Ken Schreiber, he was talking about lead generation and the minute differences about generating leads with your copy as opposed to like using sales conversion. Now, one of the key points and takeaways he talked about, he started out, check this out. The first thing he said when he got up on the stage is he said, "Who here wants a surefire way to get new customers or prospects without any marketing cost?" And all the hands went up, right?
Mine went up.
Yeah.
I was the first one.
Now, guess what? He says that was the first lesson in lead generation. You are trying to identify exactly with the person what is it that they want. So if you have the right market, the right list, and then you give them that question, who wants this solution? And you're talking directly at a person, and they raise their hand and identify. That is it. That's as simple as that. And then you make them an offer that they just can't refuse.
Because all you want is to find out who those people are who are willing to raise their hand.
Yeah, and you could adapt that into any business type that you can. Now look at this. Another key is speaking directly at that target person. If you get a list, if you're doing a mailing, a postcard mailing, and you know who that customer is you're looking for, you identify it and you speak directly at their problems. You have to identify, and we talked about this. I call it the hidden benefit, because you have to think about your customer and think of all the problems that they have in their lives, because what you are is you're a problem solver. That brings up another point. A lot of business owners, a lot of businesses out there, they make the mistake, and we had some folks talk about this in the room as well. I say, what is your ad about? What was the message you put in your marketing? And they said, well, a discount, a discount or percentage off. And the reality is that they're trying to sell their product directly. And we say that kind of hurts your response, because when you try to sell your product directly, the only people that are responding are those that are ready to buy like your widget or your thing right now.
At that immediate point in time.
So it's about transcending timing. So we're going to be back after this break and continue, because we've got a lot of nuggets that came out of that event on writing words that sell. BusinessEdgeRadio.com. Go to the website, get our free gift, and we'll be right back after this.
Stay with us.
Business owners and entrepreneurs. Once again, here's Mark and Tom.
Hey, welcome back to your Power Thinking Hour for entrepreneurs and business owners. It's Mark Imperial.
This is Tom Rebar. Hey, Mark, let's go back to that the story you were telling right before the break about the person who was going for the jugular and trying to make the big sale right out of the gate. Let's try to make sure we bring the loop fully closed there. What do you do to get around that?
Well, let's see. As I mentioned, a lot of business owners, they think, they're not, they're in the mindset of, I got to sell my thing. So they're focused on, how can I sell my thing? Let me present my product or my service, and let me give a discount or a coupon. That's like the knee-jerk reaction to what they're offering.
And then when people don't buy, right away they think, my price is still too high, so they get into this headset of, now I got a further discount.
Yeah, they're focusing on the wrong thing, and it's because they get a low response rate. But our answer to that, what we know from testing, is that the low response rate is because you're not transcending timing. You're making an offer for people that are ready to buy right that minute. But then when somebody is in the buying cycle, but they're not just quite ready to buy yet, and, maybe a month down the road, they forgot all about you. You're only picking up the immediate buyers. You have to find a way to transcend the timing, and we do that with lead generation.
And it has nothing to do with price.
That's right.
Get price out of your head, that it's not that your price is too high.
That's often the last thing to even consider is the price. I mean, the example that I'm going to give you and for the listeners is we had a terrific home remodeling company in the audience, and asked us, how do we directly link what we're talking about here at the event to his type of business? I said, is there a business that feels like they don't know how to link this lead generation strategy to theirs? And then he raised his hand and he said, home remodeling. What do I do? And I said, what are you doing currently to get your business? He said, I did a mailing. What was the offer on the mailing? It was a discount of some sort. And we told him the same thing. You're selling a discount. You're only going to pick up the buyers ready to buy now. And then he said, well, what's the alternative? Well, the alternative is you want to find people that may not just be thinking about buying right now, but maybe they're already in their head. You know what? 6 months from now, a year from now, I know I'm going to have a move. How are you going to get those people to identify themselves so you can continue to stay in front of them? Well, we said, why don't you offer a report called, the 7 deadly traps and how to avoid them, how to save blah, blah, blah on your remodeling costs, how to get how to remodel your kitchen, your home or whatever, and save the maximum. 7 deadly traps, a report that is going to be useful to that prospect. That way, even if it's 6 months or a year from now that they're thinking about the move, they still want that free report. That little trick alone increases the response 4 or 5 times.
Easily. And you could tell that this fella, because I was sitting across the room from him, he had a big smile on his face as soon as you started to unveil that story, because you could tell right away he got it. Mm-hmm. And head kind of went back into oh, that makes sense right away to him. So
That's right.
He was a very smart person.
Yeah. So, back to the list of what Ken Schreiber was speaking about. He's, another nugget was speak directly at him. Who is it that you're mailing to and what is their direct problem? The next point is everyone's favorite radio station besides WIND is WIIFM. What's in it for me?
Exactly.
So that, literally the headline or the message that you put on your mailing pieces has to address directly at them because it has to pass that test. Conrad Hall mentioned this, the so what test. You read your headline, whatever you consider your headline, and run it through your own head and say, okay, I read something and so what? Is it going to make you say so what, or is it going to intrigue you to read further?
Well, in fact, he even suggests to do that for every one of your bullets. When you put the bullet there, just read it out loud and say, now, so what? What is that person going to answer if they read it and you say, so what, to give yourself a chance to substantiate that bullet in your head?
Yes, that's right.
Is it a worthy bullet?
Yep. And, I have a litmus test, actually, for you. Let's first of all, let's wrap up with what Conrad was talking about before we even go into the litmus test on headlines. But, Conrad has a great description for copywriting. He said it's the art of using words to create action. Now, think about that. The art of using words to create action. How many folks really think of their advertising in that way? The most of the time I see people doing an advertisement, it's like the name of their company or their logo. How does that create any action?
One of the best testimonials for last night was I brought my assistant along to your summit. He is just beginning to think about the art of copywriting. And when we left, he said that was one of the best meetings he's ever been to. And he got more notes in a short period of time about how to write copy than he ever thought he would by coming along last night.
It's incredible. And, a lot of the stuff that, many of our pros in Mastermind, for example, we take it for granted because we've been so immersed in this kind of marketing, but it's eye-opening for many. For example, one of the keys, the big keys that was huge for everyone in the room was when Ken Schreiber described, and remember the headline, who else here wants to know how to acquire new customers and prospects without any acquisition cost? Right. Now, how do you do it without acquisition cost? Well, if you were at the summit, I don't have enough time in the next 4 minutes to tell you, but you can do, it was a brilliant strategy he had about liquidating your marketing costs. Mm-hmm. And so you have to be at Entrepreneur's Edge live events. And these are the kind of things that we talk about. So, this is probably the best time ever to give a plug for the next live event. Make sure you go to Business Edge Live or BusinessEdgeRadio.com, click on the live events tab, and you're going to find the next meeting in Madison, the next meeting in Green Bay, and the next meeting in Oak Brook. Hey, we've only got about a minute here, and I want to talk about one bullet. I have about 12 here.
Go ahead.
But let's talk about the headline, because what is the headline? The headline of your ad is the ad for your ad. Does that make sense? And what is the only job of the headline?
The only job of the headline is to shout it out and get somebody to be interested in taking the next step, which is to read what else is there.
Read the next line, absolutely. And it's the most valuable real estate on your ad or your postcard or your mailing. And what do most companies inadvertently waste in that space? What do they do in that space instead?
How many people put the name of their company or their logo up at the top of the ad or the top of their website, and then they wonder why nobody's reading it? It's because they never had a headline there.
Hey, in the wrap-up, I'm going to give my litmus test for great headlines for all the listeners. After the break, Tom Apicella from Think Spaces in Naperville, Illinois, will be joining us to give us his tips, tricks, and secrets for furnishing your office. We'll be right back. BusinessEdgeRadio.com.
We'll be here. Stay with us. BusinessEdgeRadio.com for all the events.
Hey, we're back. It's Mark Imperial.
And this is Tom Rebar. We are in the home stretch again. Mark, I can't believe another week has gone by so fast.
That's right. Hey, we're back here with Tom Apicella from Think Spaces in Naperville, Illinois. Hey, Tom, I wanted to ask you just recently joined our mastermind group here at Entrepreneur's Edge. Can you tell me what drew you to the group and what you're getting out of it so far?
Well, what drew me to the mastermind group is, I want to have other like-minded entrepreneurs and people that I can basically bounce ideas off of, talk about my business to help expand it. Because as a lot of people know, there's a lot of businesses in one business that you can extrapolate from. So just having that, and then it's also, for accountability when you come up with new strategies and ideas, there's some accountability because they're going to ask you, well, what did you do with what you said you were going to do with last month?
Yeah.
And, action is the way to make things happen in business.
That's terrific. And now for the folks listening, whether they're a property manager or a business owner looking to move or improve their spaces, how can they get a hold of you for your information?
You can go to thinkspaces.net and you can fill out one of our interior design contact forms, or there's a phone number on there that you can call, 630-324-4598.
Tom, it was terrific having you on the show. Thank you for coming out today.
Thanks for having me, guys. Enjoy the show.
Terrific. Thank you. Tom, we're on the home stretch now.
We are. I can't believe it.
Now, I promised a litmus test for people to test whether their headlines are any good.
So give them.
All right, here it is. Now, this is sort of like the classified test, if you think of like a classified ad. And what are the classified ads all about? It's usually a small, tiny little ad, right?
Very small.
With just, you don't have enough room to put anything but a blurb and a call to action, a CTA, like a phone number, right?
That's exactly right.
So what you do is you take whatever you think is your headline and then you neuter out everything else and just put your phone number or whatever your response mechanism is under it. And if the two make sense and entice you to move forward, like let me give you an example. What do most people use as their headline that's wrong? And we talk about this a lot. The company name, right?
Name and maybe a logo.
So let's look at the litmus test. A to Z painting, phone number. Now, is that entice you to take any action?
So who'd call with A to Z painting and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9?
That's right. There's no words that cause action. Now, what if the headline, let me think just off of the top of my head here. Let's use an example for a bowling alley, okay? Something weird. Now, what if the headline said how to bowl a 300 every time and then a phone number? Now, that causes you a little bit more enticement to call that number.
Sure
So
would.
there's a difference between that's the litmus test. Take your headline and put just the headline and the phone number or response mechanism. And is that enough to make somebody take some action? That's the litmus test.
Great test.
So that makes every word count.
Hopefully nobody just puts that in an ad, a headline and a phone number. It'd be nice to have a little more copy than that. But I understand what the litmus test is.
Yes, absolutely. So that's what we talked about. And it's about all the time we had to talk about today was headlines, but It's the most important piece. What else do we know about headlines? Headlines are the most important part of the ad. You remember at the event, I gave you 3 headlines that were tested. And I'll tell you what, let's do the test right now. One of the headlines got 5 times the response of the other 2. Was it headline A, I've never been able to get a good portrait of my child until now? Or B, finally a children's portrait worth more than the paper it's printed on? Or C, the best children's portrait at the right price guaranteed? We did this test. People raised their hand. The room was about split. But the answer is B. And again, we said, what's the reason why? Everyone gave reasons that they thought why B won. But the truth is, it doesn't matter. You just have to test.
And everybody's afraid to test.
And guess what? They didn't change any other part of the ad.
Customer.
Just the headline.
Hey, go out to businessedgeradio.com. We have Wayne Brightbath coming this next month in March up in Green Bay and Madison. He's going to talk about business use of LinkedIn. Unbelievable ideas, so come and see us.
See you later. Hey, it's Mark Imperial. I hope you enjoyed those highlights. Again, if you know a professional or business that we should feature on the show, you could nominate them by emailing me at radio@markimperial.com. One more time, that's radio@markimperial.com. Until next time, This is Mark Imperial. Make it a remarkable week. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.